everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. The day after United have beaten Aston Villa 2-1 at Old Trafford. That's 2 wins in 4 days at Old Trafford. They beat Wolves on Tuesday night 1-0, and then two very tough games as well, by the way, and then 2-1 against Villa last night. We knew that we were going to have tough games. We knew that we were desperate to get 6 points out of the 2 games and put ourselves right up there with Liverpool, and they've done their job now. The United players, they've got those 6 points. They've gone joint top, as Gary Neville said. Gary Neville said in commentary that United have gone joint top, and he was sort of put in his place straight after the game on Sky, where the Sky pundit said there's no such thing as joint top. Well, there is such a thing as joint top. If you've got the exact same amount of points, the exact same amount of goals, and the exact same amount of goals against, you would then be joint top. 2 things, obviously. First of all, we're not in that situation. Liverpool's goal difference is considerably better than ours. It's better by 8. So they're definitely top, and we're definitely second. So we're not joint top. But we would be joint top if we had the exact same record. As I say, goals for the same, goals against the same. The chances of that happening by the end of the season are pretty remote. So I think that's I don't think it's very relevant, the fact that you could be joint top. But we're not joint top. We're second. But I would have took that. Or I'd be over the moon to have taken that at the beginning of the season if you would have told me that we'll be you can say this, you can say level on points at the top, but you can't say joint top if we're not joint top. So yeah, I'd have took that level on points at the top, starting the new year, especially after the start we had. So it's a brilliant, fantastic achievement by the lads, really, and long may it continue. The game itself. Ollie went with Shaw over Telles. Bailey played at centre back and had a good game. There's a lot of commotion, if you like, on Twitter and other places where I'm seeing United fans raving about Bailey, and I think Bailey's had a couple of really good games. He has played well. I'm not as convinced as most that he's going to be the first choice. A lot of people seem to think, wow, that's it, we've got a great centre-back pairing. As well as Bailey played, and he did play well, I still see the same player that I've seen before, where sometimes 2 or 3 times he's clearing the ball when he could, where a better player, if you like, a better footballer. Look, you can't knock Bailey for his strength, his speed, his determination, his bravery. He's got so many of those things going for him. But a proper top-class footballer, a centre-back as well, you can find yourself with a little bit more time as a centre-back than you can in other areas of the field. And there's sometimes where he's just clearing his lines, either with the head or the feet. Obviously, when you head it, it's difficult. I'm not saying you can bring it down. But sometimes he just heads it clear when he could head it to a teammate. And sometimes he boots it clear when really he should be taking the ball down, controlling it and passing it. So, I could be wrong. You might well find that Bailey does get a good long run in the team. Of course, we don't know how long Lindelof's going to be injured as well. But I'm just not convinced. I'm not as convinced as everyone else is that it's automatically now going to be Bailey and Maguire if Lindelof was suddenly to be fit again. Shaw was selected over Telles. I expected that, and I think Shaw had a good game. And then there was a lot of discussion about who's going to be up top. Obviously, Marshall was expected to play, and Rashford was expected to play, with Cavani suspended. Greenwood doesn't seem to be doing it. He's certainly not pulling up any trees, and I wasn't surprised to see him not start. Dan James as well has had a couple of games recently. He got a little bit of a run late on as a sub, but he went what he did is he went with the extra midfield player. So Pogba played. Normally, if McTominay and Fred played centrally, normally that would mean Bruno at number 10 and 3 forwards. But I thought United were a bit stiffer. They were more they had more shape to the team, and they were more difficult to beat, basically, because Pogba, as well as McTominay and Fred, didn't burst too far forward too often. So you've often got players behind the ball when you do turn possession over. So I think we were a bit stronger, I thought, with McTominay, Fred and Pogba all operating in midfield. Bruno at number 10, and then just Martial and Rashford up top. So I thought it was quite a strong lineup. I was quite happy with it, and obviously it got the job done. First goal, well pleased to see Anthony Martial get another goal. I'm going to mention something later on what was said on Sky about him, by the way. But the first goal, brilliantly taken, a lovely diving header. At first, when I saw it flash across, I thought Mings got a touch to it. But when you watch it closely again, Mings doesn't get anything on it, and Martial dives in, heads it into the net. It's quite a brave goal, really, and it's very, very well taken. And it was a good build-up. Pogba found Rashford really nicely, and Rashford helped it on in front of Wan-Bissaka. And Wan-Bissaka got virtually to the dead ball line and fired it across the face of the 6-yard box. Martial come diving in. A few people said it was reminiscent of a Cavani header that we've seen recently, and is he learning off Cavani? I think Martial does get across the front man quite well. I've seen him score similar goals before. He scored a couple. He certainly scored one, not with his head, but getting across the front man and having to hit it in from the near post. I think he scored twice like that against Sheffield United last season. I remember one early in the season against Chelsea, where he got across the front man and I think he put it in with his knee even. So he's okay, Martial, at getting in front of the... if we've got another player other than Cavani who can score goals like that, I think I've heard Ollie call them scruffy goals in the past. I think that's what he means by scruffy goals, where you're just getting in front of the defender, getting anything on it and diverting it towards the goals. And if we've got a player other than Cavani that can score goals like that, it is Anthony Martial. Their equaliser, I thought Wan-Bissaka should have done a little bit better. I've timed it on screen from the moment the free kick's given away. Grealish is free on the left, which is Wan-Bissaka's man, and Grealish is about 20 yards away. And there's 6 seconds between the free kick being given to the free kick, and I'm talking about the first free kick, because they take the first free kick and Wan-Bissaka blocks it, but he's only a yard or so away. So from the free kick being given to Wan-Bissaka blocking it, there are 6 seconds. What you should be doing as a defender is immediately getting back into position. Let a midfield player try and stand over the ball. Just get out of the way. What you can't imagine when you're watching a game is what would happen if something didn't happen. So it's okay saying, well, Wan-Bissaka blocks that. Fred's pretty close by, McTominay's close by. If Wan-Bissaka immediately turned and started running back as he's supposed to do, maybe one of them steps in front then, and then try. But because he's stepping in front, it just doesn't work like that, does it? They're not going to knock him out of the way to step in front. So. And the moment's gone. Seconds go. Seconds go in seconds, don't they? The moment is gone. Even if McTominay says, you go back, I'll stand in front of the ball, that takes 3 seconds. You've just got to be on the ball. You've got to be switched on. As soon as that free kick's given, Wan-Bissaka should be running back. Now, a professional Premier League footballer in 6 seconds could probably sprint 50 yards. He could probably jog 30 to 35 yards. And Grealish is only 20 yards away. So by the time that free kick gets taken, he could be with his man quite easily. So he needs to sharpen up on that. Obviously, the ball went to Grealish. Grealish, by the way, what a player he looks. He had a fantastic game. Grealish is so calm, composed on the ball, looking for good passes, proper skillful, really good player. And he gets himself into the box after Wan-Bissaka leaves him free, gets it across, and obviously they get the equaliser. We took the lead with a penalty. I'm glad Bruno didn't do his hop. He took it superbly. He rammed it in the corner. Dean Smith, the Villa manager, wasn't very happy with it. What a job he's doing at Villa, by the way. He took. I heard him say on the commentary that when he took over at Villa, I think they said they were 15th in the Championship. So he obviously brought them up, and then last season they had to scrap just to stay up. And this season, they look like they're going to be a top 10 team. Without a doubt, I'd say they'll finish as a top 10 team. Dean Smith was unhappy with the penalty. I've seen reruns of it. There's people saying that Pogba trips himself up, but if you watch it closely, you can see that as he's running, his foot catches the back of a calf of one of the Villa players who's running alongside him, which sort of flicks Pogba's foot, his left foot, goes behind his own right leg, and then he continues to fall, or he trips over his own feet. But it's caused by the fact that his left foot clashes with the Villa player's right calf. It's a little bit harsh, but it's one of those for me where, look, obviously a free kick elsewhere on the pitch, you don't argue about it as much anyway. But it's one of those where it would automatically be a free kick elsewhere on the field without any consideration of it not being a free kick, if you like. And it's a little bit unlucky for the Villa player. But mate, when you're in that penalty area, you've got to be so careful. You know, he's running directly alongside him, and you might think, well, you've got to do that. But if you're in bodily contact with someone, you're putting yourself in danger of something like that happening. And it did happen. And they got, as I say, they got the pen. Bruno took the pen superbly. I was glad he didn't do his little hop on this occasion, and it was a vital goal to get him a vital 3 points. Right at the end, a fantastic block by Bailey. I just said, he did have a good game. There's still a couple of parts to his game I'd like him to improve on. His injury time block probably saved you, almost certainly saved. You never know if De Gea would have saved it, I suppose, but it almost certainly saved United 2 points. So that cued the celebrations. After the game, as soon as the game was over, even the substitutes, I saw Juan Mata there, and Bruno had been substituted. I saw Bruno back on the pitch, and players were all over Bailey for making that block. And it seemed as though the players are thinking, that they're in obviously that they're in a title race. It's the sort of scenes that are normally reserved, I think, because I've seen other clubs do that. I won't name names, when I've thought there's a long way to go for all that. And 16 games gone. We are well into the season, but there's a hell of a long way to go. And to start having celebratory scenes after games, to me, just seems a little bit rash. I think I'd much rather we went about our business quietly. It's fine after the game, shaking hands, a pat on the back, but jumping on each other and jumping up and down when you've played 16 games and you're joint top, as they call it, I think it's a little bit early for all that, mate. I hate pouring cold water on the flames, if you like. But I love the togetherness, fantastic team spirit. I do love it, but it does look as though they're celebrating the fact that they've got a chance of winning the league. And when there's only 16 games gone, I think it's a little bit early. In the Sky coverage, not once but twice, it was mentioned that Anthony Martial hadn't scored a goal in open play yet this season. They didn't say in the league, they just said he hasn't scored a goal in open play yet this season. They said that before the game, and then after the game in the interview with Ollie, and I was amazed that Ollie didn't jump on it, but the commentator said, so Ollie, that's Anthony Martial's first goal in open play this season. Again, he didn't say in the league, he just said this season. Straight away I thought, well, he scored a header away in Turkey in the Champions League, and he also scored at Sheffield United in the league. So even if they meant Premier League, it's still not right. So there's hundreds of thousands of people, maybe, I don't know, maybe even millions, I don't know, but hundreds of thousands of people watching that and listening to that, and it's just not right. They should be. They need to get their own work done better than that. It's not good enough, and they're shaping people's minds and people's opinions. Look, Martial's not having a fantastic season, goals-wise. I think he's playing perfectly fine, by the way. Perfectly fine. His hold-up play as ever, superb. Difficult player to mark. I think he's playing perfectly fine, whether he scores a goal or he doesn't score a goal. But in all since they said it was his first goal in open play, they're talking about all competitions. He even scored in open play last week against Everton in the League Cup. So if they're talking about all competitions, he's got 3 just in the league. He's got 1. He's now got 2. So it's just it seems almost like there's a witch hunt against him. It just seems as though the media don't just for whatever reason, they just. It's not the first time I've seen things like this about Anthony Martial, and to say something like that twice on screen that's just false is out of order as far as I'm concerned. As far as the table's concerned, it's natural for fans. I'm the same. It's natural to only look up the table and see where you can get to, unless you're one of the teams just outside the bottom 3. If you're not far outside the bottom 3, you're looking down and hoping that no one's going to come and overtake you. And also, if you're actually not joint top, but if you're very top, you also look behind you because there's nothing else to look up to. So there's literally 2 or 3 teams at the bottom and 1 team at the very top that look behind themselves. Everybody else in the table looks up. Fans don't think, oh, they're going to catch us or they might catch us. So I've had a look at the table, and at the beginning of the season, if you'd have said to me we would get top 4, and we're in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup now as well, if you were to say to me we'd get top 4, I said this at the start of the season, and win one of the cups, whichever cup, I would have took that. Without a doubt, I would have taken top 4 on one of the cups. Has that changed yet? Do you think that should change yet? It probably should. You know, there's 16 gone. We're level on points at the top. We've got to start hoping for better. Aiming higher than just being top 4 or just settling for top 4. But if you do just look down. I mean, if you just look down a little bit directly behind us, we've now widened the gap on Leicester. We've got 33 points. Leicester have got 29 points. Everton, by the way, got beat 1-0 at home by West Ham just before we played. They'd have overtaken us had they won, but they got beat 1-0 by West Ham. So Leicester and Everton are on 29 points. So we've widened the gap on the same games, widened the gap to 4 points on Leicester and Everton. Looking at the big 6, if you like, or some of the other big clubs, no disrespect to Leicester and Everton, but Chelsea have got the same games as us, 16 points, and they're on 26 points. So that's a 7-point gap now, which I'm pleased about. 7-point lead on Chelsea is important. I'm talking about here about the top 4 race. So even there's no point thinking, oh, we're going to be right up there. Obviously, I hope it happens. It could happen. But there's no point in just thinking things are not going to change. Other teams are not going to have a good run. We might have a loss of form. So you've got to still look at this. And we're 7 points in front of Chelsea, which is good. Spurs have played a game less than us. Spurs are playing Leeds today. And they're also 7 points behind us. So they can cut the gap to 4 points today, which is not a big gap. And then City as well. City as well are on 26 points, but they've got 2 games in hand on us. So if City was to win their 2 games in hand, they would only be a point behind us. So obviously there's a long way to go. It isn't just Liverpool. I'm sure 99% of fans are just looking up and saying, Liverpool are only above us on goal difference. That's it now. We've got a great chance. It's great to be optimistic, of course it is. But City, like I say, only 1 point behind us if they win the game in hand, and if Spurs win today, 4 points behind us. I wouldn't be thinking automatically that we're even going to finish in the top 2 just yet, let alone win it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we can keep it going. There's a break in the league games now. We've got City in the Carabao Cup next week, followed by Watford on the Saturday. Before we play Burnley, the rearranged game now is on Tuesday the 12th. That's 5 days before we play Liverpool. If we win that game, worst case scenario, we'll be level on points with Liverpool when we play them at Anfield, if we can beat Burnley away. Liverpool have got a slightly tricky fixture on Monday. They're away to Southampton. You never know, Southampton might be able to take points from them. That's on Monday at 8 o'clock. A lot's been said about the lack of crowds and about it levelling things out. It could be the case, and I know people have pointed out the fact that there's been more away wins than there normally is. But I'm not convinced that you still don't feel more at home when you are playing at home, whether your fans are there or not. And if I just look at our last 3 games, for example, we drew at Leicester 2-2. We couldn't hang on. You know, we were 2-1 up with 10 minutes to go, and we couldn't hang on. And then we've beaten Wolves at Old Trafford with an injury time winner, and then we've beaten Villa at Old Trafford 2-1, where we were hanging on for 10-15 minutes, and we did hang on. And I've got to be honest, I can't help but feel if we'd have played Leicester at Old Trafford, we might well have hung on. Whereas if we'd have played Wolves away, we might not have got that injury time winner. Look, obviously we'll never know. All I'm saying is, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that you still don't feel as though you've got a slight home advantage or a slight advantage when you are playing at home. Later on today, the Spurs v Leeds at 12:30 on BT1. At 12:30 that game. 3 o'clock you've got Palace v Sheffield United on Sky Sports. I think I'm going to I'll probably watch Spurs and Leeds, and I might well watch Brighton and Wolves at 5:30 on Sky. I fancy that might be an interesting game. I really like the look of that Basuma, who plays in midfield for Brighton. And I always like keeping tabs on ex-United players that I'm fond of as well. And hopefully Danny Welbeck might start in that game for Brighton. So that's 5:30 on Sky. And then this evening, West Brom versus Arsenal on BT1 at 8 o'clock. A funny old start for Big Sam in his new job at West Brom. They've lost 3-0 at home to Villa. They've lost 5-0 at home to Leeds and drawn 1-1 away to Liverpool. Astonishing, really. You'd bet your bottom dollar that 5-0 defeat would have been away to Liverpool, and they might have got a 1-1 draw at home with Villa or Leeds. But no, 2 thrashings at home and a point away to Liverpool. How that works is it just shows you what a funny old game it is. I'll be back later on today with rating the ratings from the United Wolves game, and back tomorrow with a review of today's games. If you've enjoyed that little show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anyone. Keep stum.